What's that sound? It's For Amusement Only, the EM and Bingo Pinball Podcast.
Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. Tonight I wanted to talk about a United game, for a change. 1951's Leader by United. This was a 3-card bingo, which had the extra ball feature. Now, if you'll recall, if you've heard for some time now, I've talked about Coney Island, which was Bally's second bingo game, and the first game with the extra ball feature. United quickly saw that this was a good thing, and so they added it to their Leader. And in typical United fashion, they did it in a different way than Bally did. There's only one button on the front of the cabinet. And this button is your game start button, or spend credit button. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a copy of the schematic or manual to reference, so I can't tell you exactly how this feature works, but I'm going to guess based on the cabinet's arrangement and what I know about all other bingos. And I'm going to guess that the game awards you extra balls only as you coin up, and not after you've finished shooting your game. In a typical bingo, you push the yellow button to play for an extra ball. Normally, you can only do this after the main game has finished, after you've shot your 5th ball. But in this United game, because there is no yellow button, it appears that you have to continuously drop in coin until you light the 6th, 7th, and 8th ball on the backglass, and then start playing. Now, one thing that's kind of nice about that, in Bally bingos with the extra ball feature, and of course later United bingos, the reflex unit is engaged, and I've spoken about the reflex unit before, which will make the machine get into a state where it's harder to earn an extra ball if you've already won a lot of replays. Now, the thing about this is, of course, that it means that the machine will get more money, but also it's kind of a natural impediment against someone who's trying for a 5 in a line and got a nice 4 in a line payoff on the same game. The idea is that you start a new game and you start coining back up and trying to do something different rather than getting progressively higher payouts on the same game. Now, this is a 3-card bingo, and again, without the manual or schematic, I'm not sure, but the 2nd and 3rd card may light on the 2nd and 3rd coin drop, or they may light on mystery intervals, just like I assume the extra balls light. Now, the backglass for this game is a little different than many of the other games of the era. You have 3 bingo cards, which are sort of no-frill bingo cards. And then you have 2 ovals, which say number of balls. On the left you have 5 and 6, and on the right you have 7 and 8. Now, by default, it's going to light number 5. As you earn 6 or 7 or 8, it will light those instead. So there's likely a stepper inside that's counting the balls to play, and that's going to change the illumination on the backglass. Now, I've talked before about early United games that had no visible replay counter, and Leader also appears to have no replay counter. Instead, there are lighted circles that surround the bottom of the backglass, and those will illuminate as you win replays. So let's talk about the backglass itself as far as artwork. The bingo cards are dark blue on light blue, with the numerals in white. United's leader is up at the top, and there are concentric pieces of bread. I guess that's the easiest way to describe it. Starting with orange, going to red, back to orange, and then yellow, and finally green. And so if you think of slices of bread stacked behind each other, then perhaps you'll get the picture of what this looks like. Now, down towards the bottom, I mentioned those circles. They're actually woven around by the yellow layer of that bread stack. And it's actually very attractive, and I really like the ovals with the balls to play. I think those look very good. Each digit is surrounded on the left and right side by a dot. The top digit, so 5 or 7, 5 on the left, 7 on the right, is in red on a white field. The bottom digit, 6 or 8, left or right, is yellow on a blue field. Again, I think the backglass is pretty attractive. Now, I've seen a picture of the playfield, and this is a United game that cribbed the Bally style playfield, but they had some differences. The first being that the lamps that illuminate the playfield, instead of being invisible light towers or lamp shields, are actually covered by pieces of wood. The second thing that's different or unusual is, instead of the typical coiled spring that you think about when you think of a Bally Bingo's playfield with the light shields, this uses sets of posts with a rubber stretch between them, in between each layer of the playfield on the left and right. So, for example, if you'll recall, the numbers 1 through 7 are the top row of numbers in any bingo playfield with 25 holes that follows the standard Bally format. The second row is 8 through 13. Now, in between 1 and 8, the leftmost numbers on the top and second row, there are 2 posts which have a rubber stretch between them. This is going to change the trajectory of the ball if it goes down below the number 1, and will prevent it from dropping straight into number 8. So with this layout, it takes some skill in order to maneuver the ball from the left-hand side into the number 8. In fact, I think it takes a lot of skill looking at this. Now this uses the standard 1 1/16 inch pinball instead of the normal bingo size pinball that's 1 1/8. That's an important difference to remember between United and Bally, especially in the early games. Later on, United would switch to using 1 1/8 inch balls, like on my United Caravan. Also of note, the playfield that I can see, there's a photo that Russ Jensen submitted to IPDB. It has 2 ball gates up at the top. Now in the Bally style, this ball gate would contain a switch which would help with enabling the ball lifter, which would increment the timer, lift the ball, and so forth. In this instance, with the double ganged ball gates, I am not certain what it's actually doing. Now this ball gate that it has looks like a typical United ball gate for their amusement pinballs, their typical flipperless pinballs. But I'm really curious to know electrically what's going on. There has to be some cue to lift another ball, and I just wonder what that is. Now this playfield is very attractive as well. Instead of the slices of bread, we have 4 different colors descending the playfield and operating as a backdrop for each of the sets of holes. So starting with 1 through 7, the background is light blue. The numbers in this section are white on a dark blue field, and all of the holes are this beautiful red color that United was known for. And even on their flipperless pinball machines that were not bingos, they used the same red in many of their trap holes and kickouts. Surrounding the red is a circle of yellow in this first row. And then moving down, 8 through 13 are on a field of green. The numerals are blue on a yellow field. And the circles around the holes beyond the red are dark blue. Moving down to the next row, we have 14 through 18. That's on a yellow field. The numerals themselves are white on light blue. And the circles surrounding the red of the trap holes is white. Moving down, 19 through 22 on a dark blue field. The numerals are light blue on a yellow field, and the circles are surrounded by green and yellow. And then we come down to the last row, 23 through 25. This is on the same shared dark blue field that 19 through 22 uses, and the numerals are white on green, and the surrounds are yellow. Now this game has a ball return, just like any of the other standard bingo playfields used. And the ball return is called out in dark blue on a yellow field. Now, in between each numeral on the playfield, there is a diamond shape that's inset. I think that's fairly attractive with the colors used, and of course that alternates between green and white and blue and white in order to prevent one side or the other from disappearing into the background color. Now up at the very top, you have the entrance into the playfield, and I have already mentioned the unique looking ball gate. But bingo playfields using the standard layout have a set of 4 posts, which are arranged in a diamond shape. Using these to your advantage is crucial in order to gain access to the numbers that you want. In some instances, you want a soft plunge and avoid them altogether. Sometimes you want to have a medium plunge and go straight through them in order to come out on the other side. And in other instances, you want a hard plunge, go all the way to the left, and come down, again, attempting to avoid those posts. But the way the artwork is laid out on this, you have what looks like wings sprouting up from the center post above the number 4 and splaying out to either side of that diamond pattern that's put on with the posts. It's very attractive. Now, looking at the flyer, I can see that this was available for purchase with either a 5-cent or a 10-cent option, which would have been big money per play back in 1951. Overall, I think this game looks very fun and certainly quite a bit different from the early attempts by United to start earning money on these bingo pinball machines. I think taking the Bally playfield design, at least for the most part, was a very smart move. I also think taking the extra ball feature and running with that was a very smart or shrewd move, because that's enticing to a player. You want to have the ability to extend your game if you choose. Sometimes you just want to drop in a few nickels and play the game as it lies. Other times you want to build up a big game, see what happens. Well, that's all for tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. My name again is Nick Baldridge. You can reach me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com, or you can call me on the Bingos line. That's 724-BINGOS1, 724-246-4671. You can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Casts, via RSS, on Facebook, on Twitter at Bingo Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at nbaldridge, or you can listen to us on our website, which is foramusementonly.libsyn.com. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.